folks, welcome to Mr. P's Film Review again. I'm here with another retro review. This year marks 25 years since Disclosure was released. Disclosure was directed by Barry Levinson and it's based upon a novel written by Michael Crichton, who was responsible for such hits as Jurassic Park and then would eventually go on to create the cult TV show ER. It stars Michael Douglas, Demi Moore, Donald Sutherland, and Roma Maffia. Disclosure tells the story of Tom Sanders, a high-flying executive at a Seattle-based IT firm who is excited because his company is about to go through a merger. And this merger will not only result in him and his wife being incredibly wealthy, but will also be responsible for him being promoted and be in charge of a larger division within the firm. But Tom then discovers that he's not actually going to be promoted and that the promotion has actually gone to his ex-girlfriend, Meredith Johnson, brilliantly played by Demi Moore. And Tom is upset about that. And Meredith then wants to talk to Tom one night, not only about the problems with the CD-ROM drives that they're having, but also to reminisce about old times. But then we discover that Meredith has actually ulterior motives and then tries to seduce Tom. And when Tom refuses her attempts to seduce him, she gets incredibly upset and then the next day says that Tom tried to sexually harass her. But Tom fights back by actually saying that it was actually Meredith that tried to sexually assault him. Disclosure was one of the most talked about films in 1994. Just in terms of its narrative, in terms of harassment, reverse sexual harassment of a woman doing it to a man. It also caused a lot of debate in terms of what is it with Michael Douglas and all these crazy ass women. Look at the films that this man has done. Fatal Attraction, Glenn Close has an affair with her, turns out to be a psycho from hell. Then in 1992, Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone, and now Demi Moore. What I love most about Disclosure is the fact that while sexual harassment is the theme of this film, is not exactly at the forefront. There's a lot more to this film. This film is part mystery, it is part thriller, it is part whodunit to some respect, and it keeps you engaged and it makes for a compelling watch. And Disclosure is easily one of the most satisfying films I've seen of 1994. Performance-wise, Michael Douglas is always reliable as an actor. And as Tom Sanders, he gives a great performance. He's on charismatic form, he shows the right amount of charisma, he shows the intensity, and gives a very, very commanding performance as Tom Sanders. Demi Moore, as the femme fatale Meredith Johnson, I say that this was easily one of her best performances. And shows that she's great when she's in a supporting role. As a leading actress, she's not that great. But she was really, really great as the Take No BS Meredith Johnson. And there's also reliable, strong support from Donald Sutherland, Hollywood veteran, legendary actor as Garvin, the multi-millionaire head of the company who wants to see that the merger goes through and also that this sexual harassment suit gets swept under the carpet. Another very, very strong performance was from Roma Maffia. Now, Roma Maffia plays Catherine Alvarez, who is the lawyer who helps represent Michael Douglas's character in the case. And this was her first mainstream Hollywood role after doing a lot of television work. And for me, when I see a person who goes from television to film and up against some really, really big Hollywood actors, there is a tendency for the person to be thrown in at the deep end, to be punching above their weight, but not in this case. Roma Maffia does a phenomenal job at Catherine Alvarez, and she's a total antithesis of Meredith Johnson. Whereas Meredith Johnson is very sultry and quite intimidating and quite backstabbing and will use her charm to get whatever she wants. Catherine Alvarez is the total opposite. She's hardworking, she's determined, and she takes no mess from anyone. And she has basically built up her career brick by grafting. And you can see that during the course of the film, Tom Sanders and Catherine, they both earn each other's respect. What I love most about this film in particular, Disclosure, is the fact that it's not, like I said before, there's many, many elements to this film. This is also a mystery film. When Tom Sanders is first accused of sexual harassment and then realizes that, okay, I'm in trouble, he then starts to receive these mysterious emails from someone called A Friend. And A Friend signposts him to Catherine Alvarez's character as person who is responsible for representing people in sexual harassment cases. A Friend sends him an email telling him, you know what, don't worry about Meredith. You know all you need to know about her. work on the problem, which is the problem with the CD-ROMs. And then in the third act of the film, when we discover that Tom is actually exonerated because there is evidence to suggest that Meredith was actually lying and that it was actually she who harassed him, Tom starts celebrating, but then receives another email stating that, you know, it's not over. Solve the problem. And then he realizes that Meredith and a few others are trying to set him up by finding for incompetence, when he realizes that the problem with the CD-ROMs is actually in the manufacturing department, which he actually handles. And the fact that this whole thing is set within an office environment, it does add for some type of, it ignites a paranoia that you can see not only in Michael Douglas's character, but also in the audience. When we start to notice things like, I don't know, we notice things like Tom's office has been ransacked. Tom's access to certain files has been revoked. His telephone records have been accessed. It just ignites a paranoia in you in terms of, okay, who's doing this? And just in terms of the power corporate structure and the fact that it takes place within an office, there is a certain level of claustrophobia in it in terms of, okay, there's only a certain number of people, who can it be? And also in terms of how we see co-workers turn on him when they realize that, you know, their careers are at stake as well, and they're told to like turn on Tom. It is a very, very compelling watch, and those scenes, those films are handled beautifully. And the fact that Disclosure is so multi-layered, what I love most about the film is the fact that when a film is so multi-layered and it covers different themes, there is a tendency for certain themes to fall by the wayside and they get lost within the narrative. But in terms of Disclosure, everything is handled and is ticked off beautifully in the box. So in terms of, okay, the sexual harassment case, in terms of who a friend is, who he's getting the emails from, in terms of the third act of the film, what the issues with the CD-ROMs are, they are all handled and are all given designated screen time, especially with the third act of the film, where Tom looks for evidence not only save his career, but also get rid of Meredith also. And visually, I love Disclosure. The cinematography of this film, how they capture Seattle, how they capture certain shots within the office, is really, really great. The musical score, and you know from watching this channel, you know that I love score. So Ennio Morricone, easily one of the best musical composers in the business, and has composed some of the best musical scores in the film industry, from the spaghetti westerns to such films as Untouchables to In the Line of Fire, and the most recent film being The Hateful Eight. And he's composed some beautiful musical pieces in this film, from in terms of tension, that represent mystery, that represent triumph. They're all beautiful composed scores, and I love them. And the visual effects in this film, handled by our friends at Industrial Light and Magic, are great also, where Tom wears a visual effects mask to basically look at the digital files that have been missing and to find out what has actually been happening with the system that he's working on and who is responsible. And those visual effects sequences really do hold their own. And as a film, I can honestly say overall, Disclosure still holds its own 25 years on, purely because the themes that it captures and themes that it touches on are still themes that are relevant today. So themes that you can talk about in terms of one particular scene that I love the most, where Tom was actually talking to a female co-worker who said, okay, are you on Meredith's side? And she said, I was the only female in a team of about 20 men. And he said, do you think I complained? I worked. Of course not on Meredith's side. And there are so many debates that we can have in terms of, you know, female promotion, the stigma that is attached to it, reverse sexual harassment, does it happen in the office, corporate politics, backstabbing, you know, the things that were relevant then can still be discussed today. And we can still have a dialogue about it. And again, it is a beautifully acted, beautifully written film. And again, top-notch performances from everybody, great direction, and a very, very satisfying film. So I will give Disclosure a very, very strong 8 out of 10. So that's my review. Keep and subscribe to this channel, guys. Leave a comment with what is your favorite Michael Douglas film, or what is your favorite film from 1994? What film would you like me to review from 1994? Leave a comment. Follow my boy Joe Cobra, and I shall see you on the next film review. Take care.